I'm one of the drummers you never filmed.
It's up there looking so skinny.
Never filmed.
Woody, you look so slim on that.
As you were saying, Joe.
They all went with me. You know, they all went with a new piece of equipment. Steadicam was a new piece of equipment. The lens was new. I'd learnt from the likes of Ozzy Morris on Oliver, when he shot the whole movie at T4. So you're not wide open. Everybody wants to do wide open because there's no light. I never had any light. That was all available light. It was T4 with this new lens at T4. I pulled my own focus. I didn't have anybody pulling focus. I did it all on hyperthermic distances. I used 100 ASA stock, which is really low light, which is the main, and fine grain, and that's how you get that picture. You've got fine grain stock and colour, and I never realised I invented the whole thing as Super 35 to blow up to 70mm, which you saw. That was a print from my 70mm print. And it holds up still. Sitting in the front, you're still holding up. And how was it for you all back there?
Brilliant.
Was it sharp?
Yeah.
And did the surround sound work for you? Eh? The surround for Dolby.
Joe,
yes, sir.
Tell us about doing the Steadicam stuff, because every now and then we can see a bit of the
Just
cameras.
about, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I just, my arm went, the Steadicam, George is here, George and that, my arm went with the music. I couldn't stop my arm. Which was fantastic, really. I would end up somewhere and then somebody would pop in the picture. Was not conceived. It was just pure energy. And I don't know what to say, but
no, that's great.
It's pure energy. The love, I want to say love between them all the bands. The love you were all. It wasn't Andrew. I don't miss you.
Joe, can I ask you to pass your mic down the front? Because I'm aware we've got a lot of people here. I want everybody to get a chance.
Let's hear it for Joe Dunton.
Joe Dunton. It is a tribute to you that the film looks as amazing as it does. You did an absolutely astonishing job, so congratulations. Pauline, you said that you think that the film, it feels really contemporary today, because not just that the music is, it is literally like being on stage with the band, but you said you think socially the film resonates with what's happening today. What did you mean when you said that?
Oh, I just meant that, first of all, I want to thank you so much. It's absolutely wonderful. For me, to be approaching my 8th decade on this earth kind of thing, and to be able to see how it all was, how we all were, and those who've kind of shuffled off this mortal coil as well. So, it's really heartrending from that point of view, not to see Rankin Roger anymore, and Everett, and Saxa, and, and obviously Terry.
John. Brad.
Yeah, that was really hard, but it's, honestly, it's just so good. It is so good, and I thank you so much, and I think that today as well, it holds up. It holds up. All the music holds up because we were all there. We were all in the moment and the energy of everything. And I think when you capture that, and you capture that on film, then that always holds up for all time because the passion is there about it. And I feel that, that's my takeaway from it. All those things that were going on then that made us make music like that are still going on now.
The thing that's phenomenal is that if the music is as tight as it is, every single one of them are completely on the money. All the way, you're laughing, you don't think?
I was just saying, that's a miracle.
Rhoda, do you want to say something about having just seen that on the huge IMAX screen? How did it feel?
It's very big.
Very big.
It was very big. It was like, ooh. And I wanted to be able to lean back a bit, a bit too close. So some of the people was like, oh, I don't want to be that close to them, really. But that's, that's entirely personal. It's nothing to do with the music.
One of the things that Joe said he was trying to do was to give the audience the feeling of being on stage with the band. When watching that, was it like being back on stage with the band?
I can't remember. Yeah, exactly. I can't remember. I've been in bed since then. No, it was remarkable. I mean, sometimes it was a bit too much. If I'm honest, for me, it was a bit too much. It was making me, it made me feel a bit queasy sometimes. Honestly, no, I'm being serious. It made me feel a bit queasy sometimes.
They're not going to put that on the poster for the film.
No, and I mean, look, I'm old now, right? So it was a bit queasy, and it was a bit loud for me. So, but it's all right. I bought earplugs with me.
And from that bombshell, Jerry. So tell us about how the movement came about. You were absolutely central to it all, being there. Why was it important? How did this all happen?
I don't know, really. Well, we started off as like a punk reggae band. We did a tour with the Clash, but we sort of did a bit of mad punk and then a bit of reggae, and it didn't quite sort of gel. But then after we came back off the Clash tour, I was sort of thinking about it, and there was a record by what are they called in Birmingham? Oh God, the Capital Letters, "Smoking My Ganja," which was like a dub reggae, but it had a kind of ska beat, and there was I think Matumbi did a song, what happened to Blue Beat and Ska, and I thought, oh, hang on a minute, what did happen to Blue Beat and Ska? And so I kind of thought of trying to do some ska tunes. I mean, we already did, I think, Skinhead Moonstomp and a couple of things, but so that way the punk and the Jamaican music, it was much faster beat, so it all worked a lot better, and the energy just kind of, I don't know, it just completely took off, and that energy of the original ska from the 60s in Jamaica, which was like a crazy dance craze, and then it just all happened again here, what was it, 20 years later or whatever, but it was just that energy in the music that was incredible, and it just kind of, it all happened very quickly, and it all took off very quickly. But it was just that idea of doing ska, I suppose. We did some covers, and then we ska-ified our songs. A lot of songs were written before that, and once we hit on it, and then wore all the suits and the hats and all that, and it all just kind of came together, and everyone seemed to love it. So I don't know.
What do you think about how Joe managed to capture it? Because it does feel like it's, that is bottled lightning.
Yeah, I mean, nothing to do with the bands, but just as we were quite good, but. All of the bands were quite good, but as a live, like as a piece of live concert footage, dare I say it, I think it's one of the best there is, in any genre, because it's just the way he was on stage and really among us, and Joe had one of the first Steadicams in the country, which, if you know, that goes over your whole shoulder and you can sort of jump about, and it's all. I mean, just watching it again visually, it's fantastic. So, once again, thank you, Joe.
Joe, it's worth saying that you'd worked with Stanley Kubrick, so
me.
But
that was Paul Heskett.
But Steadicams were still fairly new technology, wasn't it?
It was brand new. 40 years ago, it was brand new. I just want to say some quick things, because we recorded the sound on mobiles, Rolling Stones mobile, EMI's mobile, 22 track, 24 track. So we mic'd the stage up, so when you cut to a bass player, you saw the bass, you hear the bass player. You hear that music, it's from each instrument. So I spent 10 years in the sound department before going in the camera department. And so you've got the beauty of that sound. So, and the big thing is, I saw, it really sounds wimpy, but I saw so much sort of love between everybody at that time, because you were new at that time. There was no well, no, I never saw any aggro. You were all chatted, you were smoking cigarettes while you're singing. I mean, it's madness, really. It's a kind of phrase. So, I saw this love there, and I said to myself, we captured it, but I said, I want to see it in the future. I don't want to see it tomorrow, because you see it tomorrow and it's gone, isn't it? And they did a wonderful job, Chrysalis, of making the worst black and white copy on a VHS copy of all time, right?
Terrible.
Which was great, because I didn't want it on television. You can't see it unless you have a big screen and sit there. You can't see it. So it did me the greatest favour, and that's why I kept out of the way. It was always this thing on television that was old-fashioned and all. I conned everybody because I made it a spoof look at life, and it wasn't. We got Bob Ganders Walker back to do the commentary of the stuff. The stuff really with the Pathé News was to give you a rest. You can't to give you a rest because you couldn't sustain 90 minutes. It's hard because it's the same. So I worked out that that's what we'll do. We'll give you a rest with that. It goes back to Liverpool, doesn't it? It goes back to Liverpool. We'll open again. No, it's yours.
No, it's Coventry.
I know, it's near Liverpool. Sorry.
It's nearer than we are now. Nearer than we are now.
Yeah, okay. So it ended with that Coventry, the cathedral being best done. And I will do one day, if you want, a projection in the Liverpool. In that. Sorry. Must be another band.
Joe, since you brought up Madness, is there a microphone down the Madness end of this very, very long panel? Can you pass it down?
No, there's two.
Oh, you got one. So, guys, have you?
We got two.
Stereo.
Have you seen it on an IMAX screen before? And if not, how did it look?
No, I haven't seen it on an IMAX screen before.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
Yes, very, very big, isn't it? Yeah, it was great to see it on such a place. Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
How does it feel seeing such an early performance brought to life like that?
Brings back some memories. It does. I remember going on stage. Yeah, you just got in the way all the time. What is that bloke doing? But it was quite impressive. The kit was amazing. You know, it was really incredible. The way the camera just kept, it's called Steadicam, isn't it? Obviously. But, and it did keep steady. It was amazing. But I remember it wasn't easy for you. I mean, it must have been like quite brutal on the old
the
board.
magazines were only 5 minutes. I had to reload after 5 minutes. Every time they were only, not like a digital camera, you go on forever.
Good thing you were filming bands that didn't do songs more than 5 minutes.
They weren't in the film.
Sorry, but did it bring back? I mean, as I said, Joe's whole thing was to make it feel like you were on stage with the band. I mean, obviously, Madness on stage was a kind of riotous carnivalesque experience. Did it feel like being back on stage with Madness in that period of them?
I guess it must have done, yeah, because it was, wasn't it? So, yeah, I mean, it's lovely to see that time, and to see the audience. I thought was great. It was very interesting. See the type of things, sort of things that are going on in the public at that time. Like it was funny with the Beat. There was all kind of punks in the crowd. Yeah. And with the other bands, it was all a bit of a different crowd. Although I don't know if they were not actually filmed on the same show. Yeah, oh, that was in America. Oh bloody hell!
I flew on Laker Airways. I repaired his projector in the plane.
Yeah. So it was great to see that whole history in that period. Yeah, to have it filmed like that is great. Yeah, and to be able to watch it all back.
I
Yeah.
don't remember there being so many girls in the audience. Yeah, sinister.
That was America, Woody. That was America.
That's America. Of course it was. We never had girls going like this.
That was also the plea.
On the subject of pretty, Buster, do you want to say a few words?
It was fantastic. I did love the youth of the time. It was really good to see such young-faced individuals going crazy.
Did you like watching the film?
Really loved it, yeah. It's a very special film, and that man is a genius. No doubt about it.
So if you watch it on television, make sure it's a big screen and you sit close. Now they've just got better now. Televisions have just got better. I didn't want it on television. It's not that thing. It's like what you see here. You're in a community, aren't you? Everybody's got a connection to this film, really. So,
You can sit at the back. You can sit at the back next time. Easier.
Jerry, I asked Pauline, why it was that she thought it was still relevant today. Why do you think that period? I mean, suddenly there's this incredible, outburst of bands that really young, really talented musicians. I mean, I still think one of the most extraordinary things is how tight those bands are on stage with that kind of so much going on. Everyone's leaving.
It was the drummers.
It's the drummers.
Yeah, apart from Madness, we weren't quite as young as we looked. We'd all been playing for a while. Most of the specials were like 24, 25.
Jerry, that is young.
You're not going to believe this, but I thought we were much too old to be doing that at that time. So you imagine what I feel like now. But anyway, yeah.
But you were sort of the kind of spiritual musical director, and which Buster agrees with.
Spirits being
the operative word. I mean, how does it feel now seeing that and look at just how well that music was performed live? I mean, I still think if you didn't see it performed live, you kind of missed half the thing. But it is a brilliant live experience. But it is a musically curated experience, Jerry, and you are central to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had a bit of a say in the choice of the songs. I think I was involved to a certain extent in that, and I like the way it sort of starts off and then it goes quite dark with Man at CNA and Inner London Violence, and what was it, Night with Rhoda Dakar. There is a sort of dark edge to it. It's not all fun and games, is it? It's kind of and then at the end, it's the relentlessness of it, all the things. It's like a mix. They just go one after the other, and that's one of the powers of ska. A lot of people don't listen to ska for long enough, because if you get like 2 hours of it, then you start to really lose it. It was probably, although it's obviously in Jamaica, it's kind of the first rave music, because in Jamaica they had the ska dancers going all night on one rhythm, basically, and people would work themselves into a frenzy, and I think that it's about the same tempo as rave music, funnily enough. But it's just it's that thing. It came from Jamaica, and then we copied it, but we got it wrong, and gave it a British edge, and it took off again. But it burnt very bright. And, it is quite exhausting. I think you could see that from the amount of energy we all put in was incredible. It was just like you were floating, it was really, I don't know, it was just, the energy just took everybody, and it was quite strange.
The other thing that's really impressive is how close the bands are to the audience throughout. I mean, Pauline, you do a lot of standing on the monitors very well. But as you're standing on the monitors, the crowd are reaching out. I mean, you know, you are virtually in the crowd. And do you want to say something about that, about the relationship between the bands and the audience and just how close it felt?
Watching that, I mean, I think I turned to Rhoda at one point and said, look at the state of those risers. I mean, they were trestle tables that you were jumping up and down on. I mean, when you compare it to what there is nowadays, you know, everything's steel reinforced and all the rest of it. And I mean, those stages were just unsafe. There was no health and safety. Half the audience would get on the stage with you, and then they would just, well, and more, and then just jump around and stuff like that. And but it was incredibly exhilarating. Because, I mean, as a performer, you take energy from people out there. I mean, it's a two-way process. And having them that close, you know, you can absorb a lot of energy and give it all back to them from there.
Rhoda?
I just wanted to say I have memories of being on the Seaside tour where we could actually see the sea through the holes in the floor on the stage. So it was, you know, it's hit or miss. You don't know whether we'll probably see the end of this gig. We probably won't go into the sea, but we'll be all right. But the fact is, when you're 20, as I was in that, you've got that kind of energy. You know what I mean? It's not. You're not inventing it. You have that energy. Young people have that energy. It's innate. It's part of what you have. And whether you decide to dance in a field with it or whether you decide to dance on stage with it, that's the difference. And when I mean, the thing is, I went to see a gig, it's got to be 3 weeks ago now, and somebody elbowed me in the ribs and it still hurts. I'm not really a moaner, this is just actually a fact of life. And I was watching that gig, and I can remember when I did some gigs with the Specials, I actually used to be in the mosh pit and they'd say, Rhoda, where are you? Come on stage. And I would climb out of the mosh pit onto the stage, and I never got hurt. Nothing ever happened to me. And I can't quite conceive of why that was. Looking at that, I was like, what the actual are we doing? Really? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was insane.
If you look at, well, I was noticing the Specials, there were actually people sort of piling up, and my partner Joe said, well, what are they standing on? They're sort of, well, they're standing on each other. And it was kind of... But also, on the downside, if you looked at some of the girls in the front row, they were actually getting crushed and they looked like they were in pain. You know, it was actually quite dangerous, but we were lucky that no one actually, because there were no crash barriers or anything like that in those days. And if the stage was low, can I just tell you about Japan? Because when we went to Japan, everyone would be sitting like you are here, and then they get up and dance to the songs, and the police were in the aisles. They weren't supposed to dance in the aisles, and then they'd all, at the end of the song, they'd all sit down again and clap. And then at the end, the entire audience came on the stage when it came to the encore. They did the stage invasion, where they all just went onto the stage. Poor old Rico's trombone was bent. I think Brad's drum, and then they all went back to their seats. So if you want to do that, I think you should invade the stage now. Come on, you're not too old.
It's a bit of a drop.
Sadly, it turns out that we're out of time, Jerry. Let me ask you all one last thing. You get the impression watching that movie that you all felt like you were part of a united gang, a united front. I know that it's different gigs and different groups and different areas, but it did feel to the audience like it was some kind of unified movement. Did it feel like that when you were in it?
Very special, very special indeed. We were all united, yeah.
From the Madness end, did it feel like that?
Yes, it did very much. Yeah, I mean, it was wonderful, that tour that we went on. I mean, Jerry was kind of behind a lot of it, and we were rotating, the headline would be the support, and would be sort of, every evening would be a different sort of run-up. So he was kind of, I guess, generating that kind of, comradeship among the bands and stuff as well. But it was just great, yeah. And there was I don't know, I suppose a sort of equality or something. And he was encouraging them all to get on the stage. So that was a kind of thing that everybody would get up on the stage as well. But that playing the same music. I mean, when I was watching it as well, I was seeing everybody doing it offbeat, But it was so exciting then because, now maybe you think, you've heard it, but at that time you hadn't heard it. And I mean, that music had been big so many years before when we were growing up, which is why we were all playing it. But I thought it was great. I mean, I was watching the Bodysnatchers and they're all doing the offbeat and everybody, but all in their own kind of, individual way that they were interpreting the music, yeah. So it was very exciting and it was definitely a sort of feeling of all being part of something, and it was obviously very big all around the UK. So it was great.
Dave Wakeling look really so cool, don't you think?
No, he's not. He had an earring with a little musical note.
He's utterly naff.
And on that unified note, ladies and gentlemen, Dance Craze.
I didn't want it on television, right?